Kenjaku is an underrated villain, and honestly, I feel like Gege shafted him. He should have been the main antagonist over Sukuna. If more thought went into his character, I truly believe he could have made it onto the Mount Rushmore villainy. He forced a woman and a curse to do the deed at least 9 times to create the death paintings. But if you know how difficult it can be to time pregnancy, then realistically it was probably a lot more than that. Then, he sealed his kids away and forgot about them for 150 years because they just turned out to not be as interesting as he imagined. Mahito releases 3 of them, and Kenjaku doesn't even acknowledge that they are his kids. He lets 2 of them get sent on a dummy mission. He lets Chozo try to kill Yuji, another one of his kids, and he never even planned to acknowledge them as his kids until Chozo figured out who he was. He's a bigger deadbeat than Toji. There aren't many people who I'd say have gone as great lengths to complete their goals as Griffith has. Somehow Kenjaku achieved a freakitude that not even Griffith reached. We all know Griffith was smashing an underage Charlotte, getting freaky with old man, and through a Diddy-style Eclipse freak-off. But not even Griffith canonically took backshots. Kenjaku took over Kaori's corpse and smashed Jin Itadori, who knows how many times to create Yuji. He then implanted one of Sukuna's fingers into Yuji as a baby. How diabolically freaky can this man get? It's one thing to backdoor your mans, but it's another thing to backdoor your man's sibling. And it's yet a way other thing to track down your man's reincarnated twin, turn into a woman, and take malevolent backshots. On top of all that, he left his kid again, which makes him both a deadbeat mom and dad. The sick thing is, I haven't even gotten to the master plan yet. All this up until now was for fun. None of it has anything to do with Kenjaku's actual end goal. So let's start from the beginning. Kenjaku figures out how to turn people into cursed objects. He goes around for however many years recruiting sorcerers who want the chance to come back in another time, for whatever reasons they may have. He also recruits curses. Skip forward some time, and Kenjaku fights a couple Six Eyes users and loses, and he even kills a baby, recently born with the Six Eyes. Fast forward some more time, a few years after the Malevolent BackShots, and Kenjaku takes over the body of Geto after his loss to Yuta. Now the plan is really in motion. Kenjaku implants a ton of people with cursed objects, including Megami's sister Sumiki against their will. He meets up with the disaster curses and promises to help them if they help him. Fast forward to Shibuya, and Kenjaku thinks of a plan to seal Gojo. He purposely puts tons of civilians in peril and uses Gojo's trauma against them to finally seal the Six Eyes user. The twins had a deal with Kenjaku that if they helped, he would give them Geto's body, but it wasn't a binding vow, so he just laughed in their face. Mei encounters him, but he lets her live, which is a crime in itself because she's a pedophile, and literally no one likes her except Wee. A few minor fights later, and Mahito is perfectly ripe for the taking. This is the only time in the story I ever felt bad for Mahito, and I hate Kenjaku for making me feel this way, because I hate Mahito. He sucks up Mahito, gives his villain speech, and commences the Culling games using Mahito's curse technique and unbinding the seal for the people he made contracts with. Also, he shot an Uzumaki at Miwa. Who does that? So now, Japan is overrun with curses, awakened sorcerers, and reincarnated sorcerers. After the Culling games has started, he decides that there aren't enough people filling the curse energy requirements, so he goes to the United States government and other countries and reveals Jujutsu to them. The military takes the bait and starts kidnapping sorcerers from Japan and dying too. Somewhere in there, he takes over the Kamo clan and plunges Noritoshi into depression. Kenjaku decides it's time to capture Tengen, so he pulls up on Chozo and Yuki and beats the hell out of them. Yuki kills herself in vain because Kenny lived through a black hole. He captures Tengen, and she ceases to exist as an individual. Fast forward to during the Sukuna fight, and Kenjaku decides it's time to speed the Culling games up, so he starts going around killing players himself. This is especially messed up because he's the one who gave them another chance at life in the first place. He runs into Sakaba, gets sliced by Yuta, and gives the trigger for the merger to Sukuna. The rest is history, so now let's get into all the minute details you may have missed that Kenjaku is directly or indirectly responsible for. If Kenjaku doesn't plant a finger at the detention center, then Yuji doesn't make a binding vow with Sukuna that he can't remember. If Kenjaku never sealed Gojo, then Nanami, Nobito, and Nobara wouldn't have died. Air quotes on died for Nobara. Yuji would have never lost control of Sukuna. The twins wouldn't have died. and thousands of people would have lived. A couple arms would still be in place, Maki would be scarless. If Nobito never died, then Maki wouldn't have had to kill her entire clan. If Kenjaku doesn't happen to put a cursed object in Tsumiki, then Sukuna never gets his perfect chance to take over Megumi's body. If Kenjaku doesn't tell the other countries about cursed energy, then Japanese people being kidnapped wouldn't be a problem at the end of the story. This last one is a bit of a reach, but stay with me on this. In Shibuya, we learned that remnants of Geto still exist in Kenjaku. We also learned from Yuki's research that souls never truly leave the body. They just get suppressed by the dominant soul. We also know from Megumi and Yuji that suppressed souls still experience what's going on in the physical world. So with that logic, I think it's safe to say that everyone that Kenjaku has taken over had to witness the crimes he committed in their bodies, which is a layer of evil that runs into the depths of hell. Imagine you're Kaori and you see your husband smashing someone who's not really you. You know what, we don't really know enough about her, so she may have enjoyed that, so I'm just going to move on. Imagine you're Noritoshi Kamo, and your days are over for whatever reason, and then all of a sudden you're brought back and forced to witness these sick experiments so bad that your name gets dragged through the mud and you become the most evil sorcerer of all time. I'd be pissed. Imagine you're Geto and you have to watch your best friend get sealed, multiple sorcerers die by your hand, whatever this wackiness is, and in the end you get killed by the same person that killed you the first time. It's just despicable, man. So that's why I think the Kenjaku had the potential to be one of the best villains of all time. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, comment, like, share, etc., dislike, whatever you want to do. Request me topics with super thanks or cash at me, and I will do them. Peace out.